Welcome back, Blade fans. Look what we have before us today. This is the Topps Pionero. I was lucky enough to get one at a local gun store. Yes, designed by Ed Calderon for use with his Libre Ed's Manifesto fighting system with the knife. And it's a very interesting handle just to start us off. It's got his trademark skull man, a skeleton man with the knife in his hand, but you can't see the knife, I don't think, on this. Very interesting the way they incorporated that into the shape of the handle. You've got the divot here for knowing which direction that the edge is facing. Got a nice tunnel where we can simply snap this Kydex sheath off. And we have Topps' version of kind of a DCC clip. Might be something you want to keep, might be something you want to lose and swap for something more familiar and maybe a little better, who knows. How about that? Comes right off, good fit, it's snug, it doesn't rattle. If I can get to showing you that later, I will. It is 1095 steel. They did not go 154 cm as they did with the Rapid Strike, which is a similarly sized blade. They did a stone wash, is what they're calling it, or stone tumbled finish. So it is not protected, and therefore you're going to need to, if you carry it close to the body in warm climates and you're sweating a lot, you're going to need to just wipe it off daily, same way you'd take care of a fine blued gun long before guns were stainless steel. And I had a few. So designed for his system of fighting, it is not what you'd call a Pikal knife. I guess we have kind of a conflict here in that it doesn't have your typical edge in hook sort of to it. It looks more, as some people have described it when I put it up on Instagram and did a short on my channel here, as an expensive steak knife. And it does kind of look like a standard sort of non-dangerous knife, and maybe that was the intent, except we got the fancy skull man on there. So meant to be held this way. You can still do all of the Pikal style techniques without the inward curve to the blade. This will work equally as well. We have a swedge there for ease in penetration that does thin it out quite a bit for your piercy sort of movements. You can also hold it quite easily in this position. So very ambidextrous. You can hold it in a standard, what we call sak-sak position in the Filipino martial arts. Very comfortably. Can lay my finger, my thumb on the blade for reinforcement. This feels very good to me. For a small knife, it holds quite well. And then having that knobby sort of end there that's rounded, very comfortable for capping it in the point down, edge in position. You can even hold it this way should you want to. So I would say it's sort of designed so you know that if your finger is there, the edge is in, but equally comfortable in 3 other positions as I just demonstrated. So again, I like the design. It's a simple design. It is not going to be like your what's being touted as a Pikal knife or Libre fighting knives, all of which seem to have the hook inward on them. And I'll show you those in a moment, but I'm pulling out the phone because I have the Topps website up, and here are the specs. So you can see that it is 7.363 inches overall, 3.38 inches blade, cutting edge 3.13, thickness only 0.09. 1095 Rockwell 56 to 58. I guess that's standard for 1095. And I don't know if they differentially heat treat this one as they do with a number of their larger knives, but it's possible they do. Tumble finish, tan canvas micarta. Whoops, only 2.9 ounces in the weight with the sheath, 4.1. Yes, the sheath is included, and the designer is Ed Calderon. So that's everything in terms of specs. I guess I'm getting a little lazy these days, and I'll be pulling the ruler out again sometime. Don't worry about it, if that happens to be your thing. Either way, you get the specs. Here is the Copus designed Ed Calderon, kind of fashioned after the fruit knife. I don't know whether to call it an Ed Calderon design or not. This specifically was, and according to Leo Espinosa, the head of Tops Knives, this design was developed during a training session with the Tops team that they attended that was taught by Ed. You can see how much smaller the Copus designed Elvia knife is. So this is very much in fashion with the fruit knife that Ed's mother used to fend off some ne'er-do-wells, protecting, I believe, one of the family members. And this is the one that we see replicated a lot from, like, what is it? One of those German cutlery companies that makes these fruit knives. Actually, there's a few companies that do. I won't get into that. This one's 154 cm, so it is stainless. Comes with a purpose-built sheath that will snap off as you withdraw it from your pocket. Here's another interesting comparison. Here is the Rapid Strike, another knife that's been called an expensive steak knife. A little larger, and comes with kind of a glass breaker on the end. I know people like Bob DeMarco have ground theirs off so they can cap it similar to this, but I think this just feels better in the hand overall. And this jimping's very rough, very large, kind of like they used a chainsaw file to put them in there. But it is 154, which is a cool thing. And it's also, I believe, tumble finished, but a little longer, maybe 3/4 of an inch longer blade, or overall, I would say. And yeah, about handle is about the same. A little wider in here, more of a belly. But you can definitely see a difference in a true Pical knife, a true Elvia style knife, and this one. So the El Pionero, meaning pioneer, English translation, for all those of you who are independent and want to get out there and, conquer your world, this might be the one to keep with you. What else have we got? Another Tops knife. Here's the Lioness. And that's another one that I really kind of like. They turned this into, they reversed the edge and called it the Unzipper. Same knife. Problem being, I don't think they got rid of this, which isn't real comfortable to cap, but would have been perfect if they did something like that. But they sort of cheaped out, excuse me, Tops, and they just basically took the Lioness and turned it into a reverse edge knife. But the Lioness, as it is a great little knife. And what are they using for a steel on this? Oh, God. I don't know if the steel is actually X448 or that's a model number. We call this the Rockies edition. I think there's a coating on there. Not 100% sure what they use for steel on that, but I did a review on it, so if you look it up, you'll find that. Same size knife, though, but much taller blade. Comes in this nice brown Kydex sheath. with a wonky sort of belt clip. You know, I'm kind of liking DCC and Ulti-Clips. And what else have we got? Well, another comparison for a pure Pikal knife in the hooked blade sense. This is the Ferrule, a custom design by Dirk Pinkerton. Can't leave Dirk out of the picture if we're talking defensive knives. Obviously, I think you're going to get a lot more utility use out of the Pionero than you're going to out of something like this. But as the claw style knives go, this one certainly is excellent. And congrats to Dirk for being very creative with his designs. I know he had previously done the Smilodon for his point down edge in type of knife. Well, if we compare this to some standard folding fare, there it is up against the Griptilian. And the Griptilian's actually slightly longer overall, with a slightly longer blade. No, just barely. So the question is, do you want to spend about $100, and I think the price on this was somewhere in the $170 range. Do you want to spend that for an ordinary looking knife, but a knife that is purpose built to have multifunction? I think that's the key with this one. If you're used to this sort of a hold and you like that indexing idea and you don't mind holding it this way and you want to use it this way for utility blade, EDC, you even want to use it this way, no sweat. And it doesn't look that dangerous. So, you know, it doesn't look like you're carrying a weapon around, perhaps, except for the skeleton. Well, there you go. That it is the Pionero. Well, we can't leave until we try some paper cuts. Hey. Not bad for a very steep edge. Not a very tall grind. Truth be told, I did put it on the strop a little bit, and it came through with a decent working edge. Made it a little better with just some light stropping. So I think as far as its ability to pierce goes, unparalleled. That point is going to go right in. And that's the point, excuse the pun, of a defensive knife, is the point. The edge is always going to be secondary. Well, let me know what you think. Interesting knife, newly out, from Tops, designed by none other than Ed Calderon. And don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. You'll get notified when I drop new vids, and there's many more coming. Be well.